Brian, we heard these two speeches. Was it just talking points, or were they actually making progress, or were they trying to not make progress but get to the voters?
I actually was surprised. I thought these were both very political speeches, and we're at such a late date. I mean, it's just about a week until the administration deadline here, and we've got a lot of posturing going on. We've got the president telling people to call their members of Congress. He's pushing for this compromise that sort of goes back to the grand bargain he was pushing before, which no one in Washington is really talking about anymore. That seemed to be dead, and yet here the president is pushing it again. John Boehner really digging in and saying, no, you have to pass what we want. We're not going to compromise. I mean, frankly, I thought they were disappointing speeches. I wanted to see a little sign that the president and that the speaker were going to try to get to a compromise, and what I saw was a lot of posturing.
Well, we definitely didn't see any sign of compromise in either speech. Are we now at a point where the public is getting tired of this and getting tired of both sides, or are they blaming one or the other?
The polls show that both parties are doing badly on this, but Republicans in particular are polling badly. When you look at the issues, people tend to be with President Obama. They say a mix of spending cuts and revenue increases is what they want. Republicans say it should just be spending cuts. So the polling's bad for both. It's a little bit worse for the Republicans, but you know, they're just at a point where now they're boxed in because John Boehner has these very conservative members of the House, and they want a balanced budget. They want real spending cuts. This is what these people were elected on. And they don't want these compromises with the president. And they say, you know, if that means a possible default, we're willing to take that risk.
In the old days, the way this would get resolved is that there would be a coalition of the more moderate Republicans and the centrist Democrats, and the extremes in both parties would sort of get frozen out. Is that even in the ballpark here?
I think it's still a possibility. There are still moderates in Congress, although there are a lot less than there used to be. I mean, things have really hardened. It's a very polarized atmosphere right now, particularly in the House. There's still some collegiality in the Senate, although less than there once was, I think. And you know, frankly, the rhetoric that gets thrown around, both on the left and the right, about the opposite is nasty. Now, there are people that'll say throughout American history we've had these sort of nasty rhetoric. We've had pamphlets, you know, in the 1800s, and that's true, but it's hard to look at what we're seeing now. It's hard to look at the way both sides are really digging in and not be a little bit dispirited.
Well, the one guy we didn't hear from in this go-round was Harry Reid. And Harry Reid has said, I'm going to come with my own plan if you guys can't get it straightened out. If Harry Reid comes with his own plan, can he get 60 votes for anything that's Obama-like?
I think there are 60 votes for the Harry Reid plan, and so people understand this plan involves no revenue increases, which is what Republicans insist on, and it also doesn't touch entitlement programs, which is a big issue for Democrats. Now, there are problems with the plan. There's perhaps a little creative accounting going on here, but it does seem like the most likely plan that people can at least say, okay, this meets our basic criteria. Let's get this done while we can.
So Harry Reid comes with his plan. Speaker Boehner comes with his plan, which he will get through the House in all likelihood. Do they go to conference? What happens?
These plans can't really come together because the House Republican plan is a two-step plan, and the Democrats in the White House say absolutely no way on this two-step plan because we don't have this fight again in 6 months. We just had this fight. We're not going back to it. They are going to insist on a one-step plan. I think they're going to get that. They're probably the House plan is probably dead on arrival. The question is whether enough members of the House could rally around the Senate Democratic plan and sort of look past their quibbles with the accounting and just say, let's get this done for now and we'll have this fight another day. Well,
Speaker Boehner spoke of creative accounting. Is that what he was referring to?
Yes, and there is creative accounting in the plan. $1 trillion of the $2.7 trillion in savings comes from money from winding down the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, we're already planning to wind down those wars. So to count the money that will be saved from not spending as much this year on these wars, you know, in following years, that's already going to be saved. So realistically, that $2.7 trillion is really $1.7 trillion. Then there are some savings on interest. There are some other sort of questions about the discretionary spending. And I think House Republicans and Democrats could rightfully say, this is a lot of accounting tricks, and it's not a lot of serious spending cuts.
So maybe it doesn't save the credit rating anyway.
Well, that's a good point because people, the credit rating agencies have said if you're not going to really get serious about deficit reduction, you could lose that AAA rating anyway. So that's a really good point. Now, it's hard to say what the credit ratings agencies are going to do. There's a lot of pressure on them from the administration not to take down this rating, and it's possible that they will accept this Reid plan as enough, but it's just impossible to know.
So, end of the day, is what we've seen in this round of speeches really nothing more than political gamesmanship?
I hate to call it that. I do think that both Speaker Boehner and President Obama, deep in their hearts, know that we are on the verge of an economic catastrophe if something doesn't happen here, and they want something to happen.
Well, they both said we don't want default. Both of them said that.
Right, but there's no way to look at these speeches and not see politics in them, and I think that's what the American people are fed up with. I mean, just get a deal done. I mean, we're just at a point where we're a week away from a whole bunch of problems. I mean, for individuals, for the country, and I think the American people look at this and they're just fed up.